Hello, and you welcome to yet another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. All right, and like always, Cleveland TV in Diaspora is an online platform created with a vision to connect you and I with the rest of the world. Please continue to sign up with us today on www.cleveland.com. My name is Frank Heidi Media, and we are still on the series of FESTAC Africa 2023 destination Arusha. And then from this edition, we'll be having a series of discussions with the musical icons that will perform at that event. And the first on the list is Ms. Neil Daughter. Daughter, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, sister. Greetings.
Yeah. So let's start with it. Who is Neil? You know, the first time I wanted to pronounce your name as Nile, and I heard you say, no, it's Nile. Neil. Is it Neil or Nile?
It's Nile, like the river.
Oh, Nile.
Daughter of.
Yeah, good to
Yes.
know. All right. So now let's get to know who you are. Please introduce yourself.
Greetings, world. My name is Nile Daughter, a daughter of the Nile because my ancestors originate from the Nile. So essentially, I'm a daughter of the Nile. I'm a progressive artist, musician from East Africa, belonging to the Luo community of East Africa. And I'm also a gender advocate. I'm an activist, which is art and activism, and also a sound healer. Yes.
That's a great.
And a
right on, please. Oh, all right. That's a beautiful one. Let's start with it since you're into music. As a musical person, as an artist, what does music mean to you?
For me, music is existence, really. Is being present, is existence, is me, is being here.
All right, let's get to hear your story. Your story in the musical world. How did it start? Your pains. Just give us the entire story from when you started till now.
Yeah, so I really didn't know like I could really sing until like later years. I was always drawn to art because I remember when I was younger, I used to like leave school very early to go and watch this musical show that happened like from like 4:30 to like 6 p.m. And I was always like right on time just when it started, and I had like this musical like a lyric book where an exercise book where I would like write lyrics and capture lyrics from here and there. And my mother would really cane me proper a lot of times, like, why can't you be good in math? And then eventually I was really good in math because I had to prove that I needed the lyrical book. And then over time, I think while in high school is when I discovered like I really had like a singing voice. And that was true because I was part of the Christian Union. So that was through like just singing and leading worship or worship songs and things like that. So I was like, oh wow, I could sing, because every time I did that, people were like, Nile should do it again. She should definitely do it again. And that really encouraged me. And then when now in campus is when I actively was like, oh, okay, then there could be something here that really makes sense. And so I explored that. And then I did not get into music professionally until 2018 is when I decided, you know what, I think this is something that I'm good at. And that was after my first song, my first video was featured on national TV. The TV station that I used to listen to when I was a child, I was featured as the best beat of the week and the best beat of the month. So I released it and it was there and was like, oh wow, for real? And I was like, okay, probably this is something I should do and I should take seriously. And that is when now the journey started as a profession in 2018.
So I guess your mom must have changed her mind.
Yeah, she's come around.
It's all right. Now, when you write your songs, where do you get your inspiration from in songs writing?
Mostly is life. And by life, I mean things that I have experienced myself, things that I would love to experience, things that inspire me, things that I see people go through. And a lot of my music is a lot of like activism music. And so it also stems from my background as I was growing up, because where I was raised, I grew up next to kind of like a public field, or a public what do I call it, a public auditorium.
Okay.
And this is where a lot of protests used to happen, a lot of picketing used to happen, and this was between the years of late 90s, early 2000s. And so during that time, when I was a child and still like in primary school, uh, there was Kenya was changing to a multi-partyism. So where I grew up, we used to receive firsthand uh, experience of the riots, of the demonstrations, of the tear gases, of all these commotions and chaos, and that was like part of every other Tuesday, you know. And so going through that, I think it also just really influence the type of music I write, because my music I write is music. I usually say it's music for my people, and is music for social change a lot of the times. And so that is where I found kind of like my forte in the type of works that I do.
That's all right. You've just mentioned one or two things, and I want to like call them constraints to development of music. All right, but apart from what you just explained, that you experienced as an individual, you have a lot of other artists coming up encountering one kind of constraints or the other. Apart from the one you just mentioned, can you mention some constraints to growing in the industry, especially for the African musicians?
Sorry, come up again. Can I just mention?
All right, can you just list some constraints that are African musicians, okay, encounter in growing in the music industry? Some had finance problem, others with like family background and so many other things. Is there anything you want to talk about in that regard?
I think we experience a lot of disposition, I would say, because, and especially as female artists. For one, art is just now picking up in Africa, where the generations before us, who are our caregivers, our parents, are now just recognizing art as a source of, livelihood, or as a career.
Exactly.
And then that is still something that is really now just opening up. And so being an artist, and then being a female artist, and then being also a female activist is like a layer on top of a layer on top of another layer. So I would say there's so many challenges that one you would face as an artist, because of the stereotypes that are around art, and then add being a female artist to that, then there's now another layer of stereotypes and minus even the stereotypes, there's a lot of financial uh, constraints that we still have in Africa. There's a lot of lack of resources and things like that, and so it's just, and even just people taking you seriously, like I remember when I told my dad, like I wanted to be because I did actuarial science in undergrad. So when I quit my 8 to 5 job, and I told my dad, you know what, I'm gonna be an artist. And my dad would not speak to me for some time, and he was like, my child now is into drugs and she's lost, and and that was not necessarily the truth, and I had to prove that that was not the case. So there's a lot of stigma behind being creatives, and then also just the fact that art is really still not really widely accepted in Africa. And then the financial aspect of art, because I usually say, like, art is one of that hungry baby that you have to feed, and she never gets like really full, and it's time, energy, money, this and this, and it really takes a lot of like mind space and determination to really keep doing it, even before you're seen on the biggest spaces.
All right, let's talk about the girl child in music, and then also the male child in music now. How do you think, you said one or two things about it, but I still want to like build on it, okay? How do you think it
Yeah,
is much more difficult for the girl child in music to make a way for herself than the male child?
definitely, because the industry is gate kept by, it's a patriarchal industry, and the gatekeepers are mostly men. And so I've had a number of times where I've been told, like, if you do not have this, then what are you going to pay with? You have to give something in exchange, you understand? And as we know that resources as compared to our male counterparts is still really an issue. And so when you just have like maybe an 18-year-old or a 19-year or even a 17-year-old girl coming from school and she's like, you know what, I want to try music, and the parents are against it. How is she going to pay for it? It's the same thing like the period poverty. There's kind of like an art type of poverty that is really being orchestrated, and women and females are really this really at a place of disadvantage as compared to the male counterparts.
All right, thank you so much, Nile. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll discuss more of the issue. All right, audience, please stay with us as we take.
Let's sell on your behalf. If your item sells on our web shop, you pay a 10% commission plus the transaction fees, and you get the rest. Register now at www.shop.clevenard.com. Start uploading your product and services. We can really sell it on your behalf so you can carry on working on the things important to you. Are you looking to sell any type of product or service and you want to avoid the hassle involved? Selling can be an arduous and time-consuming process. At Clevenard Super Shop, we will be happy to take over the workload of promoting or selling your products or services. All you need to do is to register at www.shop.clevenard.com, enter your shop or vendor information, and then start uploading your product and services. We will do the selling. Now, be ready to get more sales and awareness. Start making more money from your business with Clevenard Super Shop by partnering with us today. Let's sell on your behalf. If your item sells on our web shop, you pay a 10% commission plus the transaction fees, and you get the rest. Register now at www.shop.clevenard.com. Start uploading your product and services. We can really sell it on your behalf so you can carry on working on the things important to you. Are you looking to sell any type of product or service and you want to avoid the hassle involved? Selling can be an arduous and time-consuming process. At Clevenard Super Shop, we will be happy to take over the workload of...
You're welcome back to the program. It's still Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV, and my guest to remain is Neil Doctor. All right, before we went on the short break, we tried taking a look at the things, scenarios surrounding African music, and then the role of the girl child in promoting African music. Now, Neil, I'd like to ask you this. Share with us your most memorable moments in the field of music.
My most memorable moment is when I had a chance to play in South Sudan. That was December of last year, and so I had a chance to go to a festival called Orupap Festival, which is held in Juba, and it was an East African female recognition type of festival, and so we had artists from all over East Africa, all over, like female artists, and I was representing Kenya. And for me, that was really a homecoming because I really felt at home. I really felt in tune. I really felt, it was just mind-blowing for me. And to play for my people, because that is where my ancestors originally come from. So to play for my people and to be able to speak almost the same language, and the experience that was there, that was my highlight. Like really, that was one of my best times as a musician.
So as a musician as well, how would you define what is called good music?
What is good music? I think good music is really, there's no one size fits all. There's no one size fits all. And I don't think there's really bad music or good music. There's just music that is in tune with your soul. And if a music touches strings inside your soul, it could not touch mine, it could touch yours, it could not touch yours, it could touch mine. I think that's just really good music. It's what speaks to the soul.
And again, it has to be pleasing to the ear.
Of course.
Is that right?
Of course.
Right.
But what might be pleasing to you might not be pleasing to me, you know?
No, but depends. If you're talking about the lyrics now, it's quite different. But definitely the sound has to catch the attention of the ear first before we start talking of the lyrics.
I don't know. We could argue all day because rock artists and soul artists and those are like really two different. So whatever rocks the soul is good music.
So what genre of music do you sing?
Good music.
That's a good answer. Zara, let's take a shift from the music and let's go into something else. You did make mention that you do other stuff as well. Let's get to hear your other businesses apart from the singing business.
Yeah, so aside from music, I am also a gender activist. And I started an initiative last year in 2022 called Project Black Woman. And this was in line with a musical piece that I did, which is called Black Woman, which is a celebration of all Black queens, far and wide, shapes and sizes, colors, and everybody who identifies as a Black woman. And so this musical piece, what we did is we rallied a campaign behind it that was to provide dignity and sanitary kits, which include panties, soap, pads, water for women prisoners in Kenya. Yeah.
All right. All
So
right.
that's one of the
You have to go give us more info about Project Black Woman, right?
Black, yeah.
Yeah, Black Woman. Okay. Now, what was the inspiration behind setting up that? Should I call it an organization now?
Yeah.
So where did you get
I think
inspiration from?
for one, I have a family member who was incarcerated, and especially during COVID period time. And before that, the government used to give dignity kits to women. There was the allocations, and even if you did not get the supplies from the government, then your family was supporting you because there was visits and things like that. So when COVID came, they cut down all visits, and so after that, first, even the money that was like the resources that was going to supply that was diverted to other things that were like immediate and necessary, And so people kind of forgot that there were women prisoners, and then these women prisoners are also menstruators, And just seeing what my aunt went through during that time frame, and I think that was really like the basis of Project Black Woman, to really remember that there is women menstruators, not because I think most of the times we remember that there's menstruators in schools, and there's menstruators in informal settlements, and there's menstruators in colleges, but not at many times do we remember that there's menstruators in prisons. And so that was the reason for doing Project Black Woman.
All right. Now let's talk about FESTAC Africa Arusha 2023. All right. You are one of those musicians representing at that event. How did they get in contact with you? And then what are the modalities for picking who should present at that event and who shouldn't?
I think how they got to me was in line with the kind of work that I do, because my music is really for my people. And if you check the thematic areas of FESTAC Africa, is African Renaissance, is Black Power, Black Supremacy, women, arts and culture, and all these things. So really my line of arts steps or qualifies for whatever FESTAC is really trying to do. And so I think for them, it was really not a question of should we have her or not. It was just like we should have her on board. And I think maybe that was the criteria they chose, and that is how we got in touch and we were discussing. And also because I have been privileged to do a couple of works in Arusha and also with Mama C. And so through that community of Black consciousness and Black liberators and people who have really worked to see Black people forge ahead, I think that was now the community to which they picked me from. And also just being also a female artist, I think is an add-on, because yes, we have female creatives, but then is also the activism female creative part is also is like a very small niche. And so I think that is how they came to the decision that I needed to be part of FESTAC Africa.
So how would you rate the program itself, FESTAC Africa? What are your views on
Sorry?
it? So how would you rate FESTAC Africa as an event? What are your views on the program itself?
I think when they reached out and they sent me their profile, for me was a yes, 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 yes. there was no reason I was gonna decline, because it really just sings to my heart and sings to my soul. When you mix art and when you mix culture and when you mix activism and Black supremacy together, like that's just beauty.
So, what are you offering to the guests at FESTAC Africa Destination Arusha?
Ooh, I'm offering all of me. But aside from that, I'm just like really good music that speaks to the soul, and really music for our people, really music for our people, music that is centered and geared to the renaissance of Black women and Black men and African women and African men, and just to really remember who we are and to really recognize where we are at, and to also just see ourselves moving forward into the future.
That's,
And that is what I'm bringing to.
that's beautiful. Please, I'd like you to leave us with a last word on. Let's have a word for participants of destination of FESTAC Arusha. What will be your word or your message for everyone participating in that event?
My message would be that, and I always say this a lot of times, is that that women are the custodians of any culture. We are the custodians of any culture. And so if we are to change the world for tomorrow, then the women need to understand and women need to participate and women need to know better. So please come all, support all the women who are going to be part of that, myself, Mama C included. And so just pushing that agenda forward, because we are the nurturers, we are the caregivers, and we are the ones who decide what the next generation knows. So women are the custodians of every culture and any culture. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, my daughter. It's good having you on the set this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Madam Franca. Truly appreciate it.
Welcome. All right, viewers, we'll draw the curtain here for today. And thank you for listening to my daughter. And if you're going to be in Arusha 2023, please watch out for her performance. Till next week, we'll come your way with another guest. I'm Franca Lidonia. To have a blessed evening.
Let's sell on your behalf. If your item sells on our web shop, you pay a 10% commission plus